And this is part of closing the deal. Closing the deal is sort of a function of negotiation too. But part of closing the deal is understanding the case studies. And the reason I say that is because I get back to this fear factor here. The way you make fear go away is to make the activity so commonplace it's not worthy of fear. And the reason we train by case studies, by taking you through a storyline, letting you put yourself in the story, and letting you picture how the story plays out around you, helps to remove that fear factor, because you step into that closing room, and now, even if you never have been, you've been there before. You got the feeling of what it's like. You have the picture in front of you of how it all comes together, how the strategies work to make these things successful, and how you have a feeling of being in command of them. And so we go through study after study after case study after case study. Some on the audio that are not on the video, some on the video that are not on the audio, some that are on all of them, some that are in the workbook that aren't anyplace else. But we go through them, case study after case study, taking every conceivable set of circumstances that you can imagine in a business. Service businesses, to manufacturing businesses, to wholesale, to retail. Every type, every size, every psychological setting, every geographical setting, every economic setting, from good economies to bad economies. And so that by the time you're finished with this, there isn't anything that's going to happen to you in that negotiation or in that closing that deal, in your process of structuring this, in pulling all the pieces together. There isn't anything that's going to happen to you that you will not have seen before and have a sense of how you're going to handle it. Now, for as long as I've been giving this program, which is now more than 30 years, I keep thinking that, well, we've seen every scenario there is to see by now. And we've seen probably 90-some-odd% of them. I don't know how to put a definite percent on it, but it's up there. But every once in a while, somebody comes across something, and it doesn't quite fit the case study models. And so we incorporate it in here. So what you're looking at in these case studies is an accumulation over 30 years of the best illustrations of what it takes to put these transactions together, structure them, overcome the obstacles, using all of the tools and resources that are available to you through Bazaar Financing. And so these leveraging strategies just keep going on and on and on and on and on. And then the final section of our program here is designed to take you through this last closing of this deal, is to make sure that you do what it takes to take every one of these steps here and clear every one of these stopping points. This is full of emotional underpinning that can free you to actually get out there and do this. It addresses the key reasons why people fail at any of these processes. Part of it comes right in here to this word fear, all of which is conquered by knowledge. And that's why I've said to people over and over again, hundreds and hundreds of times, it doesn't take money to do these deals. It takes knowledge, which leads to courage. And with the knowledge and the courage, the cash either is unnecessary or it's there for you. And then, of course, what are these greatest obstacles to succeeding? Again, I'm not here to cover them today. They're in the materials. So now, here's what I'd like to say to you. I'm going to assume that if you're on this webinar today, that you're facing at least one of these stages right here where you feel potentially stopped. And even if you don't feel stopped, you've been hitting this wall for some period of time, and it hasn't yielded to you yet. And what I want to encourage you to do is to review this webinar that we're on today. Identify the sections of Bazaar Financing that are specifically designed to help you clear that obstacle or that stopping point. Go back into those sections. Review them over again and over again and over again. And I'm not talking once or twice. I'm talking 3, 4, 5 times. Watch the videos. Listen to the audios. Reread the material. Ask yourself as you're redoing it the questions, how can this help me? What if I use this? What difference could it make? And you will see that over a period of a week to 2 weeks at the most, that stopping point will yield to you, because you will have a confidence that you understand and have the methods and the resources required to smash through that stopping point. And if at the end you still feel that you're not quite there, you pick up that phone, you call 805-497-1000, and you ask to speak to Gordon Bazaar. And I will be on the phone for you to help make sure that you get through that stopping point. So I don't know how to say it any plainer or any simpler than it's all here. Everything you need to do it. And if you've got a good deal, if you've gone through all this stuff, okay, and you get to this part where there's negotiating and all this part is done, you got that worthwhile business. It's for sale by a motivated seller. You've arranged that meeting directly with the seller, but you just can't bring yourself to do that negotiating and purchasing. We'll come up with a structure that'll enable us to do that for you. Get into that first business. If you can do it all yourself and you're fully confident every way, you can do it where you don't need a big investor and you end up owning the whole thing, or 90% or 60% or whatever the magic number to control that company is. That's fantastic. If anything's stopping you, and it means you give up a percentage of the company to partnering with somebody who has the knowledge, the skill sets, the experience to take you through that obstacle, give it up to them. Get the first deal done. At that point, you got two things. One is you will have increased your balance sheet and you will now have cash flow when the deal is done right. And you will have track record, which means that you've got more resources to get the second deal done. So if the first deal you don't end up in control of, if that's the downside, but you end up as a player and you improve your balance sheet and you improve your cash flow and you get track record, you are now positioned to do the second deal where you end up with that control, where you end up in the driver's seat, where you end up with the lion's share of the value. That's the beauty of business, is you don't have to do it all yourself. In fact, the biggest people in business have lots of partners. They don't try to do everything themselves. They focus on their core competency and skill set, whatever that is. Part of going back here and looking at these 4 personality styles is to understand which of the 4 you are. It's part of your self-assessment so that you understand how you think, what you put value on, what's important to you, what is your method of thinking through processes, what is your most comfortable method of operation. Because that's the part you should focus on. If I'm a great promoter, if I'm that promoter guy and that's my core competency and skill set, What the frick am I going to waste my time doing the administration or the accounting in that company for? I get somebody who that's their thing. That's their core competency. I get an analyst personality type for that. And I either hire them or I partner with them. Because I am not going to do it. It will fail if I do it. So knowing who you are and structuring your business enterprise around your strengths and your weaknesses is critical for success. And it comes out to just being honest with yourself. You're not supposed to be good at everything. We have people who are part of this webinar series right now. I will guarantee you that when they think of financial analysis and asset analysis and numbers and price calculators and doable deal analyzers, their eyes glaze over. Because they don't understand that stuff. And no matter how hard they try to understand that stuff, they are never going to understand it at a high level. They'll, at best, they're going to have a sense of it. But does that mean that they shouldn't own a business? No. It means they damn well better partner with somebody who that's their strength. And I say partner with because if your eyes glaze over when you look at numbers, okay, you don't want an employee. They will drag you around your own business by a hook in your own nose. You want a partner who fully respects your promotion skills or your controlling skills or your supporter skills to build relationships. And through that mutual value, knows that they uphold their end of the bargain, you uphold your end of the bargain, and you march into the successful sunset together. If you're a controller type and you absolutely have no bedside manner, and you alienate everyone you talk to, but you drive for that bottom line, and you're good when it comes to making the hard decisions, partner up with a supporter who's brilliant at getting relationships together, who's brilliant at creating loyalties in your suppliers, loyalties in your customers, loyalties in your investors, loyalty in your lenders. Understand that you communicate differently, that you value things differently than your partner does, and bridge that with mutual respect for who they are and the tasks they have at hand. That's how you build successful businesses, major companies. It's also how you can build a modest business where you just both, or three of you, or four of you, or however many there are of you, just make a fantastic income and build a nice net worth and security for yourself. We all have different goals here. We're all not headed to the same place. So what's key is partnering up, joint venturing with, employing people who are compatible with our values and our dreams and our drive. Now, I've covered this in an hour and a half. I've covered in that hour and a half the full spectrum of everything that goes into the successful purchase of a business, from your own self-analysis to what businesses you should go into, to how to find the right ones, the ones that are worthwhile, how to get in front of the sellers, how to negotiate the purchases, how to get funding if they're needed, and close the deal. Everything got covered in an hour and a half. Now, not the detail, but everything that goes into that process got covered in an hour and a half. How complicated can that be? In a week and a half to 2 weeks, maybe 3, a month at the outset, you can review in sufficient amount every single one of these sections and facets of this program to the point where you will have no surprises, where you will have a complete understanding of everything that goes into this process. You will have a chance to make the selections of the methods and the processes you will use based on your evaluation of yourself and others. You will have a plan. You will have a strategy that you'll want to follow. You will have a comfort factor that you are on the right track and that the energy and time and resources that you put behind yourself to make it happen will be well worth the journey. And from that base, world, get out of your way. Because nothing's going to stop you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that enables us to wrap it up for today. Hopefully this has been informational and motivational for you and helps you move on to your next step. Thank you for being here. We'll see you again in 2 weeks from today for what will be another session of where I'm going to each week take a different one of these stopping points and go into it in way more detail. See, today we went through the general process. We went through all the tools, everything that's here for you in Bazaar Financing. But we did it from 20,000 feet. And what I'm going to do from now on is week by week, I'm going to go into these various stopping points. And I'm going to go down to 2,000 or 3,000 feet so we can see a lot of the detail down there on the ground. So if you're stopped by that, here's how you unstop yourself.